Hello and welcome back. From the beginning of our series, we are using Databricks Utilities, which is also known as dbutils. Today, we are going to understand what all utilities are available with Databricks. Now, before we can start, it is very important to know that Databricks Utilities, which is also known as dbutils, is available only with Python, R, and Scala notebooks. So, you need to keep this in mind that you can only use dbutils with Python, R, or Scala notebooks. Again, we can use dbutils to work with files and object storage efficiently. Also, we can use them for secrets. Now, it is very difficult to understand all of the utilities today, but we are going to use them further in our series. So as we move along, you are going to see different usage of dbutils throughout. We are going to cover some of the important utilities today. Now, before we can start with this video, if you have not seen our previous videos, I would recommend you to go back and watch our playlist from the beginning. So without any delay, let's begin. I am in my Databricks workspace. I've already created a notebook called Databricks Utilities, and the language for this notebook is Python. Now, we are going to use Databricks Utilities today with Python. My compute is also up and running. Now, the first thing that we are going to do is to see what all utilities is available. You can just type dbutils.help. And once you do that, Databricks will provide you all of the utilities that is available for you within this notebook. Awesome. We can see all of the utilities that are available using dbutils, right? So you can see it has a lot of things, but some of them are experimental. So it is never recommended to use experimental in production systems. So you should use only those which are not experimental. For example, you can see fs. We have been using fs from the beginning. Fs is used for file systems. We're going to see some example of fs today. Similarly, you can see for secrets. You can use secrets in order to work out with secrets in your notebook, right? And also with widgets that can be used to create and import some parameters within your notebooks, right? So let's go ahead and start with fs first, which is the most important one that can be used to manipulate, or you can use them to work with your file systems. Okay. Now, in order to see what all is available with fs, you can just go ahead and type dbutils.fs.help. Okay, and you can run this. Now, if you scroll up, you can see flutils, which is the most important. It has all of the functions like cp, which can be used to copy files, head, which can be used to see some of the part of a file. Okay. Similarly, ls, which can be used to list the contents of a directory. Now, similarly, you have a lot of other options as well. We have also mounting options available, but we are not going to see mounting today, but we are going to work with some of the fsutils command. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what fsutils command can we use today. So the first one that we'll do is the simplest one, which is ls. So I'll just type dbutils.fs.ls. Now you can provide the file systems where you want to list the directory. Okay. Now by default, if you don't provide anything, Databricks would look into dbfs, which is the default Databricks file system. Okay. But if you provide a file system, for example, if you write s3 and you provide the location, so it would look for s3. Similarly, if you provide abfss, it would look for the adls storage, right? Similarly, if you want to look something into the local storage, you can just provide file. Okay, so if you do this and if you run this, it would look into the file system of the local storage. Okay, so right now our cluster is the local storage, so you can see all of the directories that are available within our local storage. Now if you want to display this in a neat way, so you can go ahead and wrap around this command using display. So you can just write display, I'll put a here, and you can just wrap this command around and you can run this. So as soon as you do that, this will be displayed in a neat tabular fashion. So let's just wait for it. Great. Now if you see, it has been displayed in a neat way, right, in a tabular fashion. Now these are all the folders that are available in your local file system because we have provided file as a system, right? Now if you don't provide anything, by default it would look into the dbfs system. So let me just run this. These are all the things that are available in your dbfs system. Okay. Similarly, if you have access to a particular adls storage, you can go ahead and provide the location or the path here, and you can go ahead and list the content of the directory there. Okay. Great. Now that we know how to use ls, let's go ahead and see the contents of the volume that we created previously. Okay. In order to do that, we will use volumes and the volume that we created in dev catalog and in bronze schema, and the name of the volume, which is managed volume. Okay. So let me just run this. Nice. You can see we have a folder called files, and if you write files, you can see the file present inside this directory, okay, which is empcsv. Now we can see the content of this file using head command. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So I'll just create a new code and I'll copy the location from here. So I'll just double click and copy, and I'll write dbutils.fs.head. Okay, and I'll just paste the file and I'll run this. So it will show us some of the content from the top of the file. So this was the file that we have kept in the volume in our last video, and we can see the content of this file, right? So now you understand how we can use dbutils command. Now there are other commands as well. For example, if you want to copy what we have seen already in our videos, you can use cp. Again, you can copy the files from different file system. For example, from local to dbfs, or from local to adls, or from local to s3. You can do it anywhere. Okay, you have to provide the file system name, and then you can use cp. Similarly, we have already used mkdirs in our previous command to create folders. Okay, let's go ahead and create one more in our volume. So I'll just copy this location, and let's create one more folder in our volume. So I'll just write dbutils.fs.mkdirs, which can be used to create folders, and I'll create one folder called input, and within this, say for csv, and I'll run this. Nice, it says true. Let me just go back into the catalog, dev, bronze, and the volume, and in the managed volume I can expand files. You can see input, and if I expand this, you can see csv, right? Again, we can move files. We already have discussed this, so let me just go do this. So I'll just write dbutils.fs. Let's copy the file. So I'll write cp, and I'll copy the file which is there. So I'll copy this from here, and I'll copy to that location that we just created. So I'll just write like this, and I'll paste it and run this. It says true. Let me just refresh and expand the csv folder, and you can see the emp csv. Now again, we can copy this file in the local system as well. So let me just show you that. So I'll just write dbutils.fs.cp. What I'll do is I'll just copy this from here, I'll paste it here, and in the local system I'll just copy it in /tmp. Okay, so let me just run this. It says true. Okay, not in /tmp, it has gone in dbfs. So in order to do in local system, I need to write file. Okay, so I'll run this. It says true. So let me use shmagic command in order to see this. So I write ls-ltr, and I'll put /tmp, which is for the local file system, and you can see emp-csv here. Okay, so now you know how you can copy files from local file system to dbfs, or dbfs to any cloud storage, or any cloud storage to any local systems, right? So this is the most important one that you will use throughout in your course, which is fs, which stands for file system. Now that we have seen file system, let's go ahead and check widgets. Now, widgets are very helpful in order to parameterize your query or code. For example, if you want to provide some input into a notebook, you can very well use widgets for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and see that example. But before that, we can see all of the options that are available with widgets. Okay, so to do that, I'll just write dbutils.widgets.help. Okay, and I'll run this. Now it gives me all of the information. For example, you have combo box option, drop down option. You can get the widget with the name. Okay, the most common one and the most important one is the text. Okay, let's go ahead and create our first widget using text. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just click on code, and I'll create my text widget first. So to do that, I'll just write dbutils.widgets.text. Okay, now it also gives you the parameter. For example, the name of the text, the default value, and if you want to put any label. So let's do that. What I'll do is I'll get an input cust id, which will stand for customer id. Okay, and I'll not give any default value, so I'll just keep it blank. You can use any default value, example 10,000. Okay, and if you want to give any label, for example, this is customer id. Okay, before I run, let me just change it to input properly. Now this is input. Okay, now as soon as I run this, you'll see a text box appearing in the top to provide us input. Okay, so let me just run this. Now you see a text box here on the top right, which says customer ID, which is the label, and this is the name of the input, and this is the default value which we have provided here. Okay, now we can get the value from this particular text box using get command. To do that, you can just write dbutils.widgets.get and the name of the widget, which is input customer ID. So let me just put it here. So if I run this right now, you'll see the default value, which is 10,000. Okay, now there's one benefit of widget. As soon as I change this particular code will automatically run. Okay, so let me just show you. I'll change it to 10,001, and I'll run this, and you see this has been automatically updated. So what happens is, if you change a value in a widget, which is the parameter for input, automatically the usage or the query which has been using this would run. And this is how you can use this inputs in order to trigger dynamic queries, or you can write dynamic code. For example, if you want to use this using a variable, you can just go ahead and write val is equals to this, and you can use this variable in your PySpark code. Now, if you want to use this in a particular SQL query, you can also do this. For example, let me just use the SQL magic command, and you can just write select, and you can use a $sign and curly braces and the name of the widget, for example, input cust ID. So let me just put it here, and let me just run this. Now if you see, it gives you 10,001. Okay, so this is how you can also use this particular widget in a SQL query. Now this dollar and this curly braces are being used with the DBR which are 15.1 and less. If you have a DBR which is greater than 15.1, then you need to use it with a colon like this, colon input customer ID. Okay, but this will not work with the DBRs which is less than 15.1. So if you are using a DBR less than, then you have to use dollar and a curly brace. Okay, so this is how you can create different widgets. So there are a lot of widgets available that you can use, which is combo box, drop down, and a lot of stuff. You can go ahead and see all of this in the documentations and try it out. Okay, so this is how you can parameterize your notebook, and you can use this widgets to parameterize and pass in input to your notebook to run dynamic queries. Now that we have seen widgets, the next one is secrets. In order to see what all options are available with secrets, you can just go ahead and write dbutils.secrets.help. Okay, now Databricks provide you scopes in order to work with secrets. Now I cannot show you this right now, but in our future video we are going to use secrets, and at that point of time we're going to use this utility, which is dbutils secret, in order to read the secrets from the scopes. Now this scopes can be backed by Databricks or by Azure Keyboard, but we are going to see this later in our course, and we can very well use dbutils secret in order to work around with secrets in our notebook. Okay, so I'm not going to explain this today, but we are going to see this in the future, and this is one of the important utilities that is being used everywhere throughout the Databricks. The last one we are going to see today is notebook utilities. Now in order to see what all is available, you can just go ahead and write dbutils.notebook.help, and it will give you all the options that are available. Now if you want to run a notebook dynamically from one notebook, you can use this run. Okay, we're going to see this later, but you can just go ahead and use this run and provide the path of the notebook along with the input parameters which can be read using this widgets. Okay, and this will trigger that notebook automatically. Now if you want to capture any exit status using some values, you can go ahead and use exit. So these are the few options that are available with notebooks, and we are going to see this later in our course, but not today. I hope you have understood a lot about Databricks utilities today. Now, if you're stuck somewhere with dbutils command, you can always use the help command in order to see the information about it. It gives you all the informations about a particular utility or command that is available with Databricks utilities. Now, in our next video, we're going to start with running some codes within notebooks, and we're going to start with workflows. Till then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep sharing.